In 26 years, I trained hundreds of salespeople on how to handle a test drive. Not one of those training sessions was about helping you find the right car. Every single one was about getting you to say yes before you left the lot. And most of you are making it easy. I know what you might be thinking. You've test-driven dozens of cars in your life. You know what you're doing. And you probably do know whether you like how a car drives. But I'm not talking about the drive itself. I'm talking about the 15 minutes before and the 10 minutes after. That's where the real test drive happens, and that's where most buyers lose. I spent 6 years as a general sales manager. Before that, I worked the sales floor. I trained new hires. I sat in on role-play sessions. I watched thousands of test drives happen, and I can tell you this, the test drive isn't a courtesy. It's the most controlled part of the entire dealership experience. The salesperson has a playbook. You walk in thinking the test drive is about whether you like the car. The dealership knows it's about whether they can close you today. Here's what I mean. I used to watch my guys come back from test drives, and I could tell within 30 seconds whether that customer was going to buy. Not because of what they said about the car, because of what the salesman got them to commit to while they were out there. 3 questions, same 3 questions every time. Most buyers answered all 3 without even realizing what they'd just done. Listen, the test drive is part of the sale. That's the thing most people don't understand. You think you're just driving the car to see if you like it? The dealership is running a process. They're looking for buying signals. They're controlling the route. They're asking questions that sound casual, but aren't. And if you're not ready for it, you're going to get back to that dealership and find yourself sitting at a desk signing paperwork before you ever had a real conversation about price. I'm going to walk you through exactly what we trained our people to do, and I'm going to tell you what you should be doing instead. Most of it happens before you ever turn the key. Some of it happens during the drive, and the most important part happens in those 10 minutes after you get back, when the salesman is walking you back inside and asking you questions that sound like small talk. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to know what's coming. Let's start with the biggest mistake, and this one happens before you even get in the car. You walk in, you point to a vehicle on the lot, and before the salesperson will hand you the keys, they say something like, "Let me just grab some information from you real quick. We'll need a copy of your license, and we'll need you to fill this out." They slide you a credit application. Don't do it. Here's what's happening the moment you fill out that form. They run your credit. Now they know your score. They know what you can afford. They know how much room they have to mark up your interest rate. It's the commission the bank pays the dealership for charging you more than you qualified for. And you just handed them that information before you even sat in the car. You gave them the entire playbook before the game started. I trained my salespeople to get that credit app filled out as early as possible. The earlier we had it, the more control we had over the numbers conversation later. Most buyers just filled it out. They thought it was required. It's not. When they ask for the credit application, here's what you say. "I'm happy to fill that out if we decide this is the right car. Right now, I'd just like to drive it." That's it. If they push back and say they need it for insurance purposes or dealership policy, you say this: "I've already checked my credit. I know what I qualify for. Let's see if I like the car first." They'll take your driver's license. That's normal. That's actually required. Insurance liability. But the credit app? That's optional. And they know it. All right, that's before you even get to the car. Now let's talk about what happens once you're behind the wheel. The salesperson gets in the passenger seat. Before you've even adjusted the mirrors, they're giving you directions. Take a left here. Go straight through this light. Now take a right. You're following their instructions the whole time, and you think they're just helping you navigate. That route isn't random. We trained our people to take you on a specific loop, same loop every time. Smooth roads, no highway, 10 minutes max. And it ends right back at the dealership before you've had time to think. The whole point is to keep the drive short and controlled, so you don't have time to find problems with the car. Before you start driving, say this: "I'd like to take this on the highway for a few minutes, and I'd like to drive it on some of the roads I actually drive every day." If they say no, that tells you something, either about the car or about the dealership. But here's the bigger issue. It's not just about where you drive. It's about how you're acting while you're driving. You're behind the wheel. The car feels good. And you start nodding along, saying things like, "Oh, wow, this ride's really nice." Or, "I love how smooth this is." Or, "This is exactly what I've been looking for." Every word you say during that test drive is being cataloged. The salesperson is listening for buying signals. If you sound excited, if you're complimenting the car, if you're talking about how perfect it is, they're noting that. And when you get back to the dealership, they know you're already sold, which means they don't have to work as hard on the price. I used to tell my salespeople this exact thing. If the customer is gushing about the car on the test drive, your job just got easier. Let them talk. Let them sell themselves. If this is helping, do me a favor and subscribe. I spent 26 years on the other side of this, and I'm not going back, so I can tell you everything. You don't have to lie about whether you like the car, but you also don't have to make it easy for them. If you like it, stay neutral. Notice the good things silently. And if you find something you don't like, a noise, a rough shift, a blind spot, say it out loud. What's that rattle? The brakes feel a little soft. This blind spot is bigger than I thought. Even if it's minor, it puts the salesperson on defense instead of offense. I'm not telling you to fake problems that don't exist. I'm telling you not to do the salesperson's job for them. Now, here's another thing most buyers get wrong. You take it easy on the drive. You're careful with the acceleration. You drive it like it's a test, not like it's your car. You don't want to seem reckless. The salesperson wants you to drive it gently, because if you do, you won't find the problems. That rough shift at 3,000 revolutions per minute? You won't hit it if you're babying the throttle. That vibration at 65 miles an hour? You won't feel it if you stay at 40. I'd walk through my used car lot every morning, and I'd see cars that drove fine on the test loop, but had real issues if you pushed them even a little. And most buyers never push them. Here's what you do instead. Accelerate hard at least once. Get on the highway if you can, and take it up to speed. Brake hard from 40 miles an hour in a safe spot. Listen for noises. Feel for vibrations. If you're going to own this car, you need to know how it behaves when you're actually driving it, not when you're performing for a salesperson. All right, let's say you've driven it. You're back at the dealership. This is where the real test drive starts. Every salesperson is trained to ask 3 questions after a test drive. The questions sound casual. They're not. They're designed to lock you in before you talk about price. Here's the exact sequence I taught. Question 1. You loved the car, didn't you? Or sometimes, that drove great, didn't it? They're looking for a yes. If you say yes, you've just confirmed that the car is right. Question 2. It's equipped the way you want it, isn't it? Or, this has everything you're looking for, doesn't it? Another yes. Now you've confirmed the car is right and the options are right. Question 3. This is the big one. So assuming we can work out the numbers, you'd want to take this home today, wouldn't you? That's the close. If you say yes to that question, the salesperson just got you to commit to buying the car before you've even seen the price. I taught this sequence hundreds of times. Most buyers say yes to all 3 without thinking. Here's what you say instead. After question 1, it drove fine. I'd need to drive a couple others before I make any decisions. After question 2, it's close. I'll know better once I see the numbers. And after question 3, and this is the most important one, that depends entirely on the price. Let me see what you're thinking. You're not saying no. You're not killing the deal. You're just refusing to commit before you see the numbers. And that one word, price, puts the conversation exactly where it needs to be. I watched a guy come back from a test drive once, 71 years old, big smile on his face. He'd just driven a Ram 1500. My salesman walked him back inside and asked him the 3 questions. Got 3 yeses. The guy was nodding along, saying, "Oh yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. Yeah, I'd take it home today if the price is right." We had him. Took him an hour and 40 minutes in the finance office, but he bought that truck. Full sticker, marked up interest rate, $4,200 in add-ons he didn't need and probably didn't understand. All because he said yes 3 times before we talked numbers. He came back 2 weeks later asking if he could return it, said he couldn't afford the payment. We told him what we were legally required to tell him. The sale was final. But you don't need me in the room for this. You just need to know the questions are coming. Now let me tell you about something that happens during the drive that most people don't even notice. The salesperson talks the entire time, telling you about the features, explaining the warranty, pointing out the Bluetooth, the backup camera, the lane keep assist. You're nodding along, half listening, trying to focus on the road. That's intentional. The more they talk, the less you're listening to the car. I used to tell my people this. If the customer is quiet and focused on the drive, they're paying attention to noises, to how it handles, to whether something feels off. Your job is to fill that silence so they don't notice. At some point during the drive, just say this. Do me a favor and hold on for a minute. I want to listen to the car. Then drive in silence for 2 or 3 minutes. Listen for rattles. Listen for wind noise. Listen for anything that doesn't sound right. The salesperson will wait. They have to. Not every salesperson does this to distract you. Some of them just talk because they're nervous. But whether it's intentional or not, it has the same effect. You stop paying attention to the car. Here's something else. You go to the dealership by yourself. Maybe your spouse is at home. Maybe your daughter's at work. Maybe your friend couldn't make it. You figure you can handle it. You've bought cars before. The dealership loves solo buyers. One person is easier to control than 2. One person doesn't have anyone to reality check them. One person hears the sales pitch without anyone in their ear saying, "Wait, let's think about this." When I was training salespeople, I'd tell them this. If the buyer comes in alone, your close rate just went up. If they bring someone with them, especially someone who isn't emotionally attached to the car, your job just got harder. Bring someone. A spouse, a friend, your adult kid, someone who isn't in love with the car. Someone who's willing to say, "I don't know, it seems like a lot," or "Let's go home and think about it." That second voice is worth more than anything I can teach you in this video. All right, here's the last one. You're driving. You notice something, a little vibration, a weird noise when you brake, a scratch on the bumper. You make a mental note. You get back to the dealership. You forget. The dealership is counting on you to forget. Because once you're in the finance office, once you've signed, those little issues you noticed, they're your problem now. You test drove it. You didn't say anything. I cannot tell you how many times I watched a buyer come back 3 days after delivery, saying there's a rattle in the dash or the brakes are grinding. We'd pull the test drive sheet. Nothing written down. At that point, it's their word against ours. Bring your phone. If you hear something, pull over and take a voice note. If you see something, take a photo. When you get back to the dealership, before you sit down to talk numbers, say this. I noticed a few things on the drive. I'd like these addressed before we talk price. Then show them your notes or your photos. It puts the issues on record before the sale. It gives you leverage. And it signals that you're paying attention, which makes them less likely to try other tactics. Here's what all of this comes down to. The test drive isn't about whether you like the car. It's about whether the dealership can close you. Every part of it. The route, the questions, the timing, the paperwork before you even get in. All of it is designed to move you toward yes before you've thought about the price. The people across the desk from you are trained. You don't have to be. You just have to know what they're trained to do. So let me run through this one more time. Before the drive, don't fill out the credit application. During the drive, control the route. Stay neutral, even if you like it. Drive it the way you'd actually drive it, not like you're taking a driving test. And make them be quiet for a few minutes so you can listen to the car. After the drive, don't commit to anything before you see the numbers. And through all of it, bring someone with you and document anything that's wrong. You don't need to memorize this. You just need to remember that the test drive is part of the sale. Treat it that way. Before you go to the dealership, do 2 things. Decide what you're going to say when they ask you to fill out that credit application. Write it down if you have to. I'm happy to fill that out if we decide this is the right car. Right now, I just like to drive it. Practice it once or twice so it doesn't feel awkward when the moment comes. And second, call someone you trust and ask them to come with you. That's it. Those two things change the entire dynamic. You've worked too hard for your money to let somebody take it from you because you didn't know the playbook. Now you know it all. Next time you go for a test drive, do this one thing. Bring your phone and take notes. That's it. That's the video. And once you're done with the test drive, you've got to sit down in the finance office. I'll tell you about that next.